Familiar faces will be making appearances on season 2 of the series Bel Air. Tatiana Ali, who starred in the original Fresh Prince of Bel Air, will make a special guest appearance. So will actor McLinn, who will play basketball coach Doc Hightower.
What's Philly Willis back, baby?
But he's reverting back to his old ways.
Let's go.
There's this big-time scout, and he's helped a lot of dudes get to the pros.
That fancy Bel Air team got you and your game, so if you come work with me, sky's the limit.
Coach Hightower wants to take Will to the next level, but it's going to take some convincing. So joining us this morning, bright and early from his home in L.A., is actor McLinn. Good morning, Brooklyn. Thanks for getting up so early to be with us.
No problem. How you doing today?
We're good. We're good. Great to see you, and great to see you doing well. Before we talk about Bel Air, we want to congratulate you on your awesome recovery from a heart transplant. You recently celebrated your 2-year anniversary of getting a new heart. How are you feeling?
I feel great. Yeah, it's been 2 years. To think that, I mean, you see the picture right there, but to think that 2 years ago, coming out of a transplant, had a stroke during the transplant. That's why you see me walking like that. I couldn't feel the left side of my body, being left-handed. So, but I feel God is good. I feel great. Like, I feel incredible.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, really. And so February, as you know, Heart Health Month, right? And you've been trying to spread the word about heart health following your ordeal. So, you survived not one, but two massive heart attacks all before the age of 50. And I guess, for men, sometimes, you feel something and you don't want to go in, you don't want to get it checked out. You're like, I'll just push through it. What exactly happened? Share a little bit about your story.
I was playing basketball at the time, ironically, and felt a little tightness in my chest, but I just blew it off. I thought it was like indigestion or something like that. We kept playing. And after about 35 minutes or so, I went outside just to kind of catch my breath. And that's kind of when I noticed it was getting tighter and tighter. Still not thinking it could possibly be a heart attack. Just running errands and just trying to push through it. And then my left arm started going numb. And that's when I was like, wait, I know that one. So drove myself to the hospital and got there in the nick of time.
But here's the question, though, because you're super active. You were acting at the time. You played professional basketball overseas. So prior to this happening, did you have any warning signs?
No warning signs. I mean, genetically, my father passed away from a heart attack. My grandmother died from a heart attack. So it was in there. And I think for me, working out and trying to stay active was a way to prevent, a heart attack because, diet and exercise. So I think for me, the writing was kind of on the wall. Wow. And I think the exercise and being in shape is what kept me alive. It didn't stop it from happening, but it bought me enough time to figure out what was going on and get some help. Totally. When most people just drop.
Yeah, and so you underwent those 2 open heart surgeries, by the way, and that heart transplant during the pandemic, right? So that had to kind of change things because you can't have as many visitors as you'd like. So what was that experience like for you?
I don't know what it's like to be in jail in solitary confinement, but that's what it felt like. Because you couldn't leave the room unless it was for a procedure. So no visitors, you just kind of in the room all day with your thoughts and staring at the clock and just wondering why me, So, and it took a little bit to wrap my mind around getting a heart transplant because in essence somebody has to die for you to live.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. You know what I mean? I'd rather just check out. But fortunately, there was an individual that blessed me with the opportunity to keep living.
Yeah. Again, we are so happy that you're doing so well. But, you're talking about your experience there laying in your hospital bed. Here you are 2 years later in one of the hottest shows on television. Yeah. You're back playing basketball. Yeah. Did you ever think that you would be back in the game like this?
The doctor said that it would take about a year to start, feeling regular. But after having 2 heart attacks, 2 open heart surgeries prior to the transplant, I didn't really have an expectation. I've been set up for disappointment before. So I just kind of gradually did what I know how to do, which is get in shape. And then over time, just, I felt better. And then people would be like, you had a heart transplant? And I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, no, I feel great.
Yeah. So talk about your character in Bel Air, right? Doc Hightower. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So that's the universe is really interesting. So I get this audition for the show. I mean, I played basketball. I've coached high school basketball at private schools before.
Oh, nice.
So when I was reading the dialogue, I was like, I've said stuff like this. Like, if I can't get this role, I need to retire. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he's just a guy that he's Robin Hood. You know what I mean? Not to give anything away, but he'll do what he needs to do, however he needs to do it to justify the goal. You know what I mean? So, you just gotta wait and see what he's up to.
It's so great to see you getting better and bigger in your career. So what's next for Brooklyn McLinn?
I mean, the most important thing I'm doing right now is I have legal guardianship of my nephew. He's just turned 1 year old, so I've had him since he was 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so I'm a single parent, single mom, single dad.
I'm with you.
But I wouldn't trade it for anything. So between work and taking care of him, that's it.
All right.
Wow.
I'll
God
call you
bless
up
you.
afterwards. All right. I'm 7 months into single parenthood, so I'll call you up. I got some tips for you. All right.
All right. Cool. Appreciate
All right,
it.
Brooklyn, thank you so much for being here this morning. I'm so happy that you are doing good.
All right. Thanks for having me.